Hi there, I'm Janna Bastow and I'm one of the co-founders of ProdPad, and today I'm going to show you how to use the idea backlog to make sure that your team is actually building the right stuff into their product. Now, you're going to really love this idea backlog because it does a number of things for you. It's going to help you as a product person keep on top of your backlog and just really efficiently and quickly manage that backlog so it doesn't become overwhelming. It doesn't become this place where your ideas disappear to. It's also going to create a lot more transparency for the rest of your team so they're not sitting there wondering where their ideas keep disappearing to. It's a place where you can have meaningful discussions with your team and pull in their expertise and their insights about why one idea or one experiment should be run versus another one. And it's also a place that you can track and manage and understand where ideas have ended up and what's been successful and what hasn't been. So let's dive in and take a look at how it all works together. This is the idea backlog in ProdPad, and this is a backlog that's different than a development backlog. A development backlog is the list of tickets that are approved and ready to go and are sitting there in somewhere like Jira or Trello or one of your development tools, ready for one of your developers to pick up and start working on. The idea backlog is the list of all the things you could work on. It's your list of opportunities, and you'll never get through your backlog of ideas. That's not the point. Your job as a product manager is to actually decide which of these ideas are actually the right ones to work on. So we give you a bunch of different ways of understanding what your opportunities are and figuring out which ones actually deserve to go onto the roadmap, which ones deserve to get pushed to development. So a few different ways of looking at this. One is this list view. This list view can be treated very much like a spreadsheet. You can change the columns around, you can add columns, remove columns, you can sort by things. Like, for example, I can find the ideas that are most wanted by customers and start prioritizing by that, or maybe find the highest impact ideas. My favorite view in here is actually the chart view, because this outlines my ideas by impact and effort, so that I've got my high impact, low effort, quick wins up in this quadrant, I've got my time sinks down in this bottom quadrant, and everything else falls somewhere in the middle. You'll notice that the color of these ideas changes as well. So ideas start off as bright pink as they've been created or updated, and then they fade away to gray over time. This is where ProdPad really starts helping you keep on top of your backlog, because it'll actively tell you if there's ideas that need more attention. I can just jump in here and flag up ideas that haven't been updated recently, for example, and take a look at those ones. You'll also notice that the size of the dots of the ideas changes over time as well. Each idea starts off as essentially a small dot. It's a one-liner. It's equivalent to that scribble on a post-it note that's stuck to your monitor, which might be a great idea, but it's probably not ready to send straight to development yet. These are represented by some of these smaller ideas. These are sometimes one-liners that just need a little bit more attention, more detail before they move on to development. Whereas other ideas have discussions and designs and functional specs and user stories and all sorts of other things attached to them. These are the ideas that have been detailed out in more detail and are probably more ready to go to development. It's sort of like the difference between that post-it note that was stuck to your monitor and a folder with a whole bunch of research backing up why this particular idea deserves to exist. And again, ProdPad helps you with this. It'll flag up if ideas need more detail. I can just jump in and see this set of ideas right here and just quickly go through and maybe add a business case or add a tag or add a quick drawing, a prototype, something like that to help these ideas move forward. And these filters can be combined in really unique ways. Like, let's say, for example, you know that your strategy is to get more revenue right now. That becomes important to you. So what you can do is go in and find ideas that are revenue generating. So here's some revenue generating ideas, or perhaps I want to find things that are useful for a particular persona. There we go. I've picked out one of my personas here, Larry Landlord. You might have Barry the Buyer or other personas, and I can see ideas that sort of match those and start figuring out which of these ideas might actually want to be put onto the roadmap. I can even do things like figure out which ideas have been on the roadmap already or which ones are not on the roadmap yet. So as a product person, it helps me figure out which ideas might be great candidates to put forward as future things to build. One of the other really helpful views in ProdPad is the workflow view. This looks at the wider picture of your product development flow, not just what's happening in development in that small subset of stages, but that wider flow from new idea, the initial assessment, discovery, prototyping, design phases, through to the actual development, through to what actually happens after something has been built. Now, these are completely customizable phases. You can set these up to match your own team's workflow, but you'll actually notice that as ideas progress, they actually become synced with different development tools. In our case here, we've got a number of different tools synced because this is a demo account, but in your case, you might be synced just with Jira, just with TFS, just with Pivotal Tracker, or like you see here, a combination of them. And as ideas are pushed to development, they're synced directly with that development tool. And as they're worked on in that tool, let's say, for example, in Jira, it moves to in progress or done, it's actually synced across and moved across automatically without you having to do anything. So it creates this window into your development process. It creates this window into Jira without your team having to actually go into Jira and do anything. So that way your developers can work in Jira where they've got the list of ready to go and approved tickets, and they can focus on that work, whereas the rest of your team can be assured that their ideas are in a backlog and are being considered, and once they actually are being worked on, they can see where it's being worked on and how it's progressing as it goes forward. Now let's dive into an individual idea. I'm just going to pick one at random here. This integration with Google Maps. Now we've added some detail to this idea, but not tons, which is why the circle isn't fully complete here. So we've got more to do. See that I've got a description here. I've got a business case section still to be filled out. I've got some metadata here, like who it's been added by and who owns this idea, and what personas it's related to, and how I've tagged it up so I can find it again later. You can also see how my team is interacting with it. So I can see who likes it, who doesn't like it, who's unsure about it. And if they do say something about that, then it prompts them to give their feedback on it. So in this way, I can have useful conversations with my team and even mention them and ask them to pull in their own expertise. You saw the impact and effort chart that I showed you earlier. It's really easy to set where they sit on that impact and effort chart. So I can move this around and consider it more of a quick win, or perhaps the effort is higher than that as I had it previously set. So really easy to move this around. Now, as I'm working through ideas, every once in a while, this will pop up and make suggestions for me. This is Dotbot. Dotbot is an AI helper built into ProdPad that helps make connections between different ideas that you might want to link or merge or mark as duplicates, or between ideas and feedback. So between ideas, potential solutions that you have, and the problems that your customers have been outlining. So if I open this up, I can see the different suggestions that have been made, and I can decide as to whether this is a related idea, a duplicate idea, or maybe tell Dotbot that it's not the right match. And I can do that at both the idea level and at the feedback level, so I can connect up things and create customer feedback that is connected to this idea. Notice that if I am in any idea, if I've started from any list of ideas, I enter what we call triage mode, which allows me to just quickly blast through my list of ideas. So here I am taking a look at various ideas that live in my backlog with these filters. Now, these filters could be anything. This could be the list of all ideas that are revenue generating and not yet on the roadmap, or all ideas I haven't looked at in more than 3 months, or all ideas that are related to a particular module in our app. So whatever the criteria is, it makes it really easy to dig in and find the ideas that you're looking for and just quickly update them. Go in and make a comment, add some customer feedback, connect it to something, and doing so helps you keep on top of your backlog and make sure that nothing ever ends up in here entirely lost. Now you can quickly and easily see if an idea is in development or not. I can see where it sits in the workflow, and I can see the linked issue that I've created here. But it's also really easy to push a new idea to development. So let's go back and find an idea that is ready to be pushed to development. I'm going to go look at my workflow and find an idea that is in review, and let's pretend that this is ready for development. I can take this and I can push this to development, and now I can push this to Jira. And what's actually happening is that it's taking this idea and turning it into an epic in Jira. It's moving it over. It's created this link between, and if I go over here, you can now see that it's created this link with the Jira idea, the Jira ticket, and it has created this link directly in the workflow section. Adding an idea to ProdPad is also really easy. Anyone in your organization should be able to add an idea to ProdPad. We make it really simple by offering integrations. So if you're using something like Slack, your team can add ideas directly from Slack without having to leave. You could have it set up so that people could email their ideas in, or you could use our quick Chrome extension to add ideas from wherever you happen to be browsing at that time. If you're in ProdPad, you can add an idea simply using the quick add section directly in ProdPad. And our quick add is using the same sort of technology that our Dotbot AI helper was using, in that it will actually actively help make sure that you're not creating duplicates. So if I were to look up an idea that I know that I have in the backlog, but perhaps in my case I don't know that it's there, it'll actually help point out that it exists already, and so it tells me that instead of creating a new idea, perhaps I want to like an existing one instead. The same thing goes for feedback. If I'm trying to create feedback, let's say I hear from Chris at Acme, I can go into here and let's say he asks for Google integration. It will go through and find matching ideas that might be linked. So instead of creating this standalone feedback with no ideas connected, I can very quickly figure out which ideas might be connected and create it as we go. And if you have lots of ideas to add into ProdPad, we can help with that as well, because we have a really intuitive import functionality that you can use. So you just need a list of any of your ideas or any of your feedback in a CSV format, and you can import it directly into ProdPad, match up the fields as you see fit, and it'll create all the ideas for you. Now, when new ideas are added, they don't just go straight into your backlog, because we know that as a product manager, that can get quite annoying. You spend a lot of time cleaning up this backlog and making sure that it's as tidy as possible, only to have somebody go on a bit of an idea rampage and create a whole bunch of new things that you then have to figure out where they sit and whether they're actually valid or anything else. So instead of them landing in your backlog, we've created the unsorted list. And you can think of this as like an unread inbox for your email, but it's for your ideas. And this is a place where your ideas will sit until you've had a chance to review them, check that they're actually valid, perhaps add a quick description or a business case, maybe set the impact and effort for each of these ideas so that it can see where it sits on the actual chart itself, maybe add some tags, and then once ready, you can take these ideas and move them to the backlog so that they are ready to be prioritized in with the rest of your opportunities. Okay, so that's all for now. I hope this was a useful tour of the idea backlog, which should give you an idea as to how you can use it to Keep track of all the different opportunities in your backlog. Make sure that the right ones are being pushed forward to development and are ending up on your roadmap to give your team transparency into what you're working on and to make sure that you're actually solving problems for your customers. Our team of product experts are always happy to help you if you want to jump onto a demo or ask further questions. So reach out to us, and we look forward to talking to you soon. Thank you. Bye.